My family forced me to become an alcoholic from the moment I was born. I mean that literally. My earliest memory is sitting in a high chair while my mom measured out exactly 2 tablespoons of vodka into my sippy cup. I was maybe 3 years old. She'd mix it with apple juice, shake it up, and hand it to me with this weird expression on her face, like she was apologizing and threatening me at the same time. I thought every kid drank what I drank. I didn't know it was alcohol. I just knew that twice a day, morning and evening, I had to finish my special juice or my parents would get upset. If I refused, Dad would sit next to me at the kitchen table for hours until I drank it. No TV, no playing, nothing until the cup was empty. Every 6 months, my parents would take me to a medical building downtown that didn't look like a normal doctor's office. No toys in the waiting room, no other kids, just gray walls and chairs that smelled like bleach. A man in a white coat would check my blood pressure, draw blood, and ask me questions about how I felt. Did I ever feel dizzy? Did my hands shake? Did I have trouble sleeping? My parents would stand in the corner watching me answer, and something about their faces always seemed wrong, too still, too careful. The man would nod, write things down, and then tell my parents to continue the current dosage. That's the word he used, dosage, like I was taking medicine. But I never understood what I was being treated for. When I asked my mom why I had to drink the special juice, she'd say it was to keep me healthy. When I asked what would happen if I stopped, she'd get this look of pure terror and say we couldn't risk finding out. I started noticing things around age 10. Other kids at school didn't have mandatory drinks twice a day. They didn't go to weird medical appointments where doctors took blood samples and measured things without explaining why. When I asked my best friend if his parents made him drink special juice, he looked at me like I was crazy. At home, I started paying more attention. My parents kept a locked file cabinet in their bedroom closet. Sometimes late at night, I'd hear them arguing in whispers about whether they should tell me the truth or wait until I was older. My dad wanted to tell me. My mom was terrified of what would happen if I knew. When I turned 16, I broke into the file cabinet while my parents were at work. Inside were medical files with my name on them, dozens of pages going back to when I was an infant. But they weren't normal medical records. The header on every page said, Clinical Trial Participant 347, Project Tolerance Study. I read through the documents, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the papers. My parents had enrolled me in some kind of research study before I could even talk. The goal was to study the effects of early alcohol exposure on liver development and addiction formation. I was one of 50 children whose parents had been paid to give them alcohol from infancy through adolescence. The study was tracking whether early exposure would create lifelong dependency or if it would build some kind of biological tolerance. There were consent forms with my parents' signatures, payment receipts for thousands of dollars per quarter, and progress reports describing my physical and psychological development like I was a lab experiment. The worst part was a section titled Withdrawal Protocols. It explained that if any participant tried to stop the alcohol intake abruptly, they could experience severe medical complications because their bodies had developed physiological dependence from such a young age. I'd been made physically dependent on alcohol before I even understood what alcohol was. I heard the front door open downstairs. My parents were home early. I shoved everything back into the cabinet and tried to act normal, but my mom took one look at my face and knew. She started crying immediately, reaching for me, trying to explain, but I backed away from her, my mind racing through every doctor's appointment, every forced drink, every time they'd watched me with those guilty expressions. My dad stood in the doorway saying they'd been trying to find a way out for years, that the research program had threatened legal action if they withdrew me before the study was complete, that they'd been waiting until I turned 18 so I could make my own choices. But none of that changed what they'd done, what I'd been made into because of their decision. And then my dad said something that made everything even worse. The rest of the story is on my channel or linked below. Some of the kids died when they tried to stop. My dad's words hang in the air between us, heavy and horrifying. I stare at him, unable to process what he's just said. The file cabinet behind me is still open, papers scattered where I'd hastily shoved them back. What? My voice comes out as a whisper. Mom steps forward, her hands outstretched. Julian, please. You need to understand. Understand what? That you've been poisoning me since I was a baby? The words taste bitter in my mouth. Dad runs his hand through his hair, his face ashen. It wasn't supposed to be like this. We were told it was a government-approved study on alcohol tolerance. They said it could help develop treatments for addiction. We were young, struggling financially, and the compensation was, so you sold me. The realization makes me physically ill. You sold your baby for quarterly payments. No, Mom cries, tears streaming down her face. We thought we were helping science. By the time we realized what was happening, you were already dependent. When we tried to pull you out at age 5, they showed us what happened to the other children who stopped abruptly. Dad's voice drops. 3 kids had already died from seizures during withdrawal. Their bodies couldn't handle the shock to their systems after years of controlled alcohol intake. My head spins as I try to make sense of this nightmare. So, instead of getting me help, you just kept poisoning me for 11 more years? Julian, please, Mom begs, moving toward me. You have to keep taking your doses while we figure this out. Your body can't handle sudden withdrawal. I back away from her, bumping into the file cabinet. Don't touch me. The phone rings downstairs, making us all jump. Dad goes to answer it, leaving Mom and me in this horrible standoff. I can hear his voice, tense and low, from downstairs. Yes, I understand. No, that's not. We haven't made any decisions yet. When he returns, his face is even paler. That was Dr. Mercer, the lab director. Someone at the facility noticed the files had been accessed through their remote monitoring system. He looks at me, his expression grim. They're threatening legal action if we violate the study protocols. They say we signed binding contracts. I don't care what they say, I shout, my hands balling into fists. I'm not drinking another drop. Mom starts sobbing harder. Julian, please, your body can't handle it. Your liver function is already compromised from years of exposure. If you stop cold turkey, the withdrawal could kill you. Something in her words catches my attention. What do you mean my liver is already compromised? Dad and Mom exchange a glance that confirms my worst fears. Show me, I demand. Show me everything. With trembling hands, Dad pulls out another folder from the cabinet. This one has red tabs marking various sections. He flips to a page with my most recent lab results from 3 months ago. ago. Your liver enzymes have been elevated since you were 12, he explains, pointing to a chart showing a gradual upward trend. The last 3 tests show early signs of fibrosis scarring of the liver tissue. Dr. Mercer says it's still reversible if what? I ask, already knowing the answer. If you complete the study as planned until you turn 18, Mom finishes. They claim they're developing a specialized treatment protocol for participants to safely detox once the study concludes. And you believe them? I snatch the papers from Dad's hands. After everything they've done, the medical jargon swims before my eyes, but I understand enough. Words like hepatic dysfunction and elevated bilirubin jump out at me. They've been tracking the damage they've been doing to me for years, documenting it like I'm nothing but a lab experiment. We need to get you to a real hospital, I say. Doctors who aren't part of this sick experiment, they'll just call Dr. Mercer, Dad says wearily. He's listed as your primary physician on all your official records. They've covered their tracks completely. My stomach lurches. I feel the walls closing in around me, the weight of 16 years of systematic poisoning crushing my chest. Without warning, I bolt for the bathroom across the hall, barely making it to the toilet before I throw up. I hear my parents' footsteps behind me, their voices pleading, but I slam the door shut and lock it. Julian, please, Mom begs through the door. You need your evening dose soon. Your body will start going into withdrawal if you miss it. Leave me alone, I shout, sliding down against the door until I'm sitting on the cold tile floor. I pull out my phone with shaking hands. Who can I even call? What would I say? Hi, my parents have been forcing me to drink alcohol since infancy as part of some twisted experiment, and now I might die if I stop? No one would believe me. Or worse, they'd call Dr. Mercer and his team, who would ensure I keep drinking my medicine while they continue studying what happens when you turn a child into an alcoholic from birth. My parents keep knocking, their voices growing more desperate. I can hear Mom crying, Dad trying to reason with me, but I tune them out, curling into myself on the bathroom floor. I'm trapped. If I keep drinking, I'm slowly destroying my liver. If I stop, withdrawal might kill me. And somewhere out there are 49 other kids just like me, forced to poison themselves twice daily since they were babies. I hear the sound of a glass being set down outside the bathroom door. Julian, Dad says, his voice breaking. I've left your dose here. Please take it while we figure out what to do. We can fight them together, but you need to stay alive to do that. I don't answer. I just stare at the bathroom door, knowing that on the other side is a small cup of apple juice laced with vodka, the poison that's been keeping me alive and killing me at the same time. I wait until I'm sure my parents have gone to bed before I crack the bathroom door. The glass of spiked apple juice sits on the floor, untouched. My stomach cramps painfully, and my hands are already shaking. Is this withdrawal starting, or just fear? I can't tell anymore. I slip out and grab my laptop from my bedroom, then lock myself back in the bathroom. If I'm going to figure this out, I need information. Real information, not the sanitized lies my parents and Dr. Mercer have been feeding me for 16 years. My search history quickly fills with variations of alcohol dependency in children, medical experiments on minors, and Project Tolerance. Most results are useless academic papers on addiction, news stories about parents who gave their kids alcohol, ethical guidelines for clinical trials that clearly weren't followed in my case. Then I find it. Buried on page 7 of the search results, a forum post from 3 years ago, looking for other survivors of Project Tolerance. Clinical trial participant 182 here. Started at 6 months, currently 19 years old. Severe liver damage. They're watching me. Please use secure channels to respond. My heart pounds so hard I can feel it in my throat. I click the link, but the post has been deleted. The entire forum is gone, replaced with a generic, "This domain is for sale" page. But now I know I'm not alone. Number 182. That means there were at least 182 kids before me in this nightmare. I create a new email address with a fake name and post similar messages on medical forums, Reddit, anywhere I can think of. I'm careful with my wording, using the exact terminology from my file. Clinical trial participant 347, Project Tolerance study. I include my symptoms but no personal details. By 3 a.m., my head is pounding and I can't stop shaking. My stomach cramps have intensified to the point where I'm doubled over on the bathroom floor. Sweat soaks through my t-shirt despite the cool tile against my skin. Is this how it starts? The withdrawal that killed those other kids? I eye the glass of juice, still sitting where Dad left it. The thought of drinking it makes me sick, but the thought of dying from withdrawal terrifies me more. Just as I reach for it, my laptop pings. A new email. The subject line reads, 347, secure communication only. The message is brief. Not safe to talk here. Download this app. Verification code. Bleach-smelling chairs in the waiting room. My breath catches. The waiting room at the medical building downtown, the one where they ran their tests on me. The chairs always reeked of bleach. This person knows details only someone involved would know. I download the encrypted messaging app with trembling hands and enter the verification code. A message appears immediately. I worked as a data analyst for Mercer Pharmaceutical Research until 6 months ago. What they're doing to you and the other children is criminal. I've been gathering evidence. Check your email for an encrypted file. Password is apple juice vodka twice daily, no spaces. The file downloads slowly, nearly 500 megabytes of data. When it finally opens, I'm staring at hundreds of documents, research protocols, participant data, financial records, and medical files for all 50 children in the study. I find my file first. Subject 347. Initiated at 3 months. Current age, 16 years, 2 months. Dosage, 30 milliliters, 40% ethanol solution, twice daily. Liver function, grade 2 fibrosis with elevated enzymes. Projected study completion, age 18. Prognosis, guarded. Tears blur my vision as I scroll through more files. Some kids started even younger than me. Some received higher doses. And then I find what I was dreading. Death reports. 17 children, all listed as study withdrawal complications. The youngest was just 7 years old. A new message appears on the app. They know someone accessed the system remotely. I've covered my tracks, but be careful. They'll do anything to keep this quiet. The money is too good. What money? I type back. Defense Department funding. They want to create soldiers with extreme alcohol withdrawal tolerance for chemical warfare scenarios. The children who survive to adulthood show remarkable resistance to certain toxins. Your parents weren't told the real purpose. My phone rings, startling me so badly I almost dropped my laptop. It's 5:30 a.m. The caller ID shows Dad's cell. Julian. His voice sounds panicked. Julian, where are you? Still in the bathroom. I croak, my throat dry and painful. Dr. Mercer is here. He says your withdrawal symptoms could become life-threatening if you don't take your dose immediately. Please, son. I hear shuffling. Then another voice comes on the line. Smooth, professional. The voice that's been asking me questions during quarterly checkups my entire life. Julian, this is Dr. Mercer. I understand you're upset about learning the nature of the study, but stopping abruptly could cause seizures, organ failure, even death. Your body has developed a critical dependency. You mean you turned me into an alcoholic before I could even talk? I spit out. He sighs, like I'm being difficult. This is a controlled medical protocol, not addiction. We've developed a specialized withdrawal process for when you turn 18, but stopping now, without medical supervision, would be extremely dangerous. I hear more shuffling, then Dad again. Julian, please. Dr. Mercer he's offering us $50,000 to ensure your continued participation. We can use that money to get you the best care once the study is complete. My blood boils. So, you're selling me? Again, no, we're trying to keep you alive. Please, just take your dose and come downstairs. We can talk about this together. I end the call and turn back to my laptop. The whistleblower has sent another message. Mercer is at your house, isn't he? They're offering more money. It's what they always do when participants discover the truth. I type back. Where is the medical building downtown? The main research facility? 1420 Westlake Avenue. Why? I'm going there. Today. Not safe, comes the immediate response. Security protocols in place. They'll detain you, but I've already made up my decision. I gather the files I've downloaded onto a flash drive and slip it into my pocket. Then I do something I never thought I would. I pick up the glass of apple juice and vodka and drink it. The familiar burn hits my throat, followed by an immediate sense of relief that sickens me. My body has been waiting for this poison, needing it. Within minutes, the shaking subsides and my stomach cramps ease. I splash water on my face, change into fresh clothes, and slip out the bathroom window. I catch a bus downtown, my mind racing. By the time I reach Westlake Avenue, I've rehearsed what I'm going to say to Dr. Mercer a dozen times. The medical building looks innocuous from the outside, just another glass and steel structure among many. I walk straight through the lobby to the elevators, pressing the button for the 5th floor where I've had my checkups for years. The receptionist looks up in surprise when I enter the waiting room with its bleach-smelling chairs. Julian, you don't have an appointment today. I need to see Dr. Mercer immediately. He's not in the office this morning. He had an early house call. I finished for her. Yeah, I know. He was at my house at 5 a.m. trying to bribe my parents with $50,000 to keep poisoning me. Her face pales. I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you should. The elevator dings behind me, and Dr. Mercer himself steps out, looking surprised to see me. He's still wearing the same clothes from my house, his normally perfect appearance slightly rumpled. Julian, he says cautiously. I wasn't expecting to see you here. I stand my ground, forcing my voice to remain steady despite the tremor starting in my hands again. I want answers. Real ones. Not the lies you've been telling my parents for 16 years. His eyes flick to the receptionist, then back to me. Let's talk in my office. As I follow him down the hall, I feel the flash drive in my pocket like a burning coal. I have evidence now. I have names, dates, medical records, everything needed to expose what they've done to 50 innocent children, and I'm not leaving until I get the truth. Dr. Mercer's office is exactly as I remember it from my checkups, clinical, sterile, with a wall of framed degrees and awards that now seem like trophies for torture. He closes the door behind us and gestures to the familiar leather chair across from his desk. I'd prefer to stand, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. The vodka from earlier has dulled the edge of my withdrawal symptoms, but my hands still tremble slightly. He sighs and sits behind his desk. Julian, I understand you're upset. 17 children are dead because of you. I cut him off, watching his face carefully. His expression doesn't change, but his fingers tighten almost imperceptibly on his armrest. Who told you that? Does it matter? It's true, isn't it? He studies me for a long moment, then leans back in his chair. 16, actually. The 17th is in critical condition at Mercy General. Severe hepatic encephalopathy following abrupt cessation of the protocol. The casual way he confirms these deaths makes my stomach turn. I was expecting denials, not a correction on the body count. You don't even care, do you? I ask, incredulous. These were children. I'm a child. What I care about is the advancement of science, he says, folding his hands on the desk. Project Tolerance has yielded invaluable data on neurological adaptation to toxins. The Defense Department sees applications that could save thousands of soldiers' lives. So that makes it okay to poison babies? We didn't start with infants, he says, as if that's somehow better. The first cohort began at age 5, but we found the neural pathways were already too developed. Starting in infancy produced much more promising results. My hand slips into my pocket, fingers wrapping around my phone. I'd activated the recording app before entering his office, not really believing he would admit to any of this. But he's sitting here calmly discussing the deliberate poisoning of children like he's talking about the weather. And my parents? How did you convince them to do this to me? Your parents were ideal candidates, young, financially vulnerable, with a newborn and minimal family connections. The quarterly payments were life-changing for them. He opens a drawer and pulls out a file. They signed all the proper documentation. Proper documentation for child abuse? His jaw tightens. This is a government-sanctioned research protocol, Julian. National security implications. The children who complete the study are providing an invaluable service to their country. And the ones who die? Unfortunate but not unexpected casualties. The consent forms your parents signed acknowledged a mortality risk. I can't believe what I'm hearing. You're a monster. I'm a scientist, he corrects. And you're a test subject who's becoming increasingly non-compliant. Your withdrawal symptoms will intensify within hours without your next dose. Seizures typically begin around the 36-hour mark. Death can occur as quickly as 48 hours after cessation. He reaches into an another drawer and pulls out a small bottle of clear liquid. I've brought your midday dose. Take it now, and we can discuss a more comfortable arrangement for your continued participation. Like the $50,000 you offered my parents this morning? That was merely an incentive for compliance. The full compensation package for completing the study is considerably more generous. My phone vibrates in my pocket, a text message. I ignore it, focusing on Dr. Mercer. How do you sleep at night? I ask. He smiles thinly. On a very expensive mattress, purchased with the proceeds of groundbreaking research. Now, will you take your dose, or shall I call security to escort you to our medical unit? We have protocols for non-compliant subjects. I'm not a subject. I'm a person. My voice cracks despite my efforts to stay calm. We all were. Semantics, he dismisses. Your choice, Julian. Voluntary compliance or involuntary containment. My phone vibrates again, more insistently. I pull it out, expecting to see a text from my parents. Instead, it's from an unknown number. Get out now. They're activating security protocols. Side exit by the vending machines. Car waiting. Dr. Mercer's eyes narrow. Who's contacting you? I shove the phone back in my pocket. My parents. Wondering where I am. He reaches for his desk phone. Let me speak to them. That won't be necessary. I back toward the door. I'll take the dose at home. I'm afraid I can't let you leave without what? Finishing what you started? Killing me like the others? His face hardens. You have no idea what you're talking about. This study has saved lives. It's taken 17. I correct him, my hand on the doorknob now, and I'm not going to be 18. Before he can respond, I bolt from the office, sprinting down the hallway toward the vending machines I'd passed earlier. Behind me, I hear Dr. Mercer shouting for security. My heart pounds as I push through the side exit door and stumble into the alley. A black sedan idles nearby, its passenger door swinging open as I approach. I hesitate for just a second. Is this another trap? Get in if you want to live, calls a woman's voice from inside. I dive into the car just as two security guards burst through the exit door. The car peels away before I can even close my door properly. I'm Eliza, says the driver, a woman in her 30s with short cropped hair and intense eyes. I was the whistleblower who sent you the files. How did you know I was there? I've been monitoring Mercer's security feeds. When I saw you enter the building, I knew you'd need an exit strategy. She glances in the rearview mirror. They're not following yet, but they will be soon. We need to get you somewhere safe. My phone buzzes continuously, now calls from my parents, probably. I silence it and focus on Eliza. Where are we going? Somewhere they can't find you. But first, she hands me a small pill and a water bottle. Take this. It will help with the withdrawal symptoms. I eye the pill suspiciously. What is it? A benzodiazepine. It won't stop the withdrawal completely, but it will reduce the risk of seizures. I was a medical researcher before I became a data analyst. I know what I'm doing. I hesitate, then swallow the pill. At this point, I have little choice but to trust her. Did you get him to admit anything? She asks. I nod, pulling out my phone. Everything. He confirmed 17 deaths. Well, 16 deaths, and one critical condition. He talked about starting with infants for better results. It's all recorded. Her eyes widen. That's exactly what we needed. We need to upload it immediately before they can intercept your phone. She pulls into a coffee shop parking lot and helps me upload the recording to multiple sites, social media, news tip lines, government oversight committees. We send copies to everyone we can think of. This won't be enough to bring them down completely, she warns. Project Tolerance has powerful backers, but it will start an investigation. My hands shake violently now, and sweat pours down my face despite the car's air conditioning. The pill has taken the edge off, but my body is screaming for alcohol. I don't feel good, I mumble. We need to get you to a hospital, Eliza says, pulling back onto the road. A real one, not one of Mercer's facilities, but we never make it. 3 black SUVs cut us off at an intersection, boxing in Eliza's sedan. Men in tactical gear pour out, weapons drawn. Federal agents, hands where we can see them. Eliza swears under her breath. They moved faster than I expected. The next few hours pass in a blur. They separate us immediately. I'm loaded into one of the SUVs, my questions ignored. Through the window, I see Eliza being handcuffed and placed in another vehicle. They take me home, where I find my parents being questioned by more agents. Our house has been turned upside down, drawers emptied, furniture moved, computers confiscated. My mother sobs when she sees me, rushing forward only to be held back by an agent. Julian. Oh God, Julian. Ma'am, please step back, the agent says firmly. My father looks shell-shocked, sitting at our kitchen table while someone in a suit goes through a stack of papers, all the documentation they kept on me, I realize. A woman approaches me, showing a badge. Julian Walsh? I'm Special Agent Harmon, Department of Justice. We need to ask you some questions about Project Tolerance. Before I can answer, my knees buckle. The room spins violently, and I collapse to the floor. The last thing I hear before darkness takes me is my mother screaming my name and Agent Harmon calling for medical assistance. I wake up in a hospital room, the steady beep of monitors filling my ears. An IV drips clear fluid into my arm. My mouth feels like it's stuffed with cotton, and my whole body aches. He's awake, says a nurse, leaning over me. I'll get the doctor. My parents? I croak. They've been taken into custody, says a voice from the doorway. Agent Harmon stands there, looking grim. They're cooperating with our investigation. They were just trying to protect me, I say weakly. By continuing to administer alcohol to a minor, her tone is skeptical. We'll let a judge decide that. Right now, our priority is keeping you alive. Your liver function is severely compromised, and the withdrawal symptoms are life-threatening. Dr. Mercer, in federal custody along with several other researchers. Your recording was illuminating. Combined with the files you uploaded, it's given us enough to shut down Project Tolerance permanently. Relief floods through me, but it's short-lived as a wave of nausea hits. I turn and vomit into a basin the nurse quickly provides. Your body is fighting, the doctor explains as he enters. We're managing the withdrawal as safely as possible, but I won't lie to you. The next 48 hours will be critical. I close my eyes, exhaustion overwhelming me. Am I going to die? The doctor's hand rests briefly on my shoulder. Not if we have anything to say about it. As I drift back into unconsciousness, I think about the 17 children who didn't make it this far. I survived long enough to expose the truth, but the cost has been unimaginably high. The battle for my life is just beginning. morning, and somewhere beyond these hospital walls, my parents sit in custody while the government dismantles the program that poisoned us all. I wake up to the sound of CNN playing on the hospital television. My own face stares back at me from the screen, a school photo from last year when I still thought my life was normal. The caption reads, "Teen victim of illegal human experimentation testifies before Congress today." 3 months have passed since I collapsed in my parents' kitchen. 3 months of specialized medical treatment to safely detox my body from 16 years of forced alcohol dependency. 3 months of interviews with federal investigators, social workers, and now congressional staffers preparing me for today's testimony. "How are you feeling?" Dr. Liang asks, checking my vitals. She's been overseeing my treatment since I was transferred to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. Unlike Dr. Mercer and his team, she looks at me like I'm a person, not data points on a chart. Nervous, I admit. What if they don't believe me? She adjusts my IV line still necessary for the specialized medication protocol they've developed for the surviving test subjects. "They've already seen the evidence, Julian. Your recording of Dr. Mercer, the files you uploaded, the medical records. Today is about putting a human face to what happened. And the other kids?" I ask. It's the question I've been asking every day since I woke up in the hospital. Dr. Liang's expression softens. 28 survivors total, including you. The youngest is 7, the oldest 19. Everyone's responding well to the treatment protocol. And number 18, the one who is critical? Mia. She's stabilized, Dr. Liang says with a small smile. She's not out of the woods yet, but her liver function is improving. The door opens and Agent Harmon enters, looking more formal than usual in a dark suit. "It's time, Julian." The car's waiting downstairs. The ride to Capitol Hill passes in a blur. My hands won't stop shaking, though Dr. Liang assures me it's nerves, not withdrawal symptoms. The specialized medication has been working. My liver enzyme levels are slowly normalizing, and the seizures stopped weeks ago. The hearing room is packed with reporters, government officials, and families of the other victims. I recognize some of the children from the files I downloaded. Faces that had been reduced to subject numbers and clinical data, now sitting with their foster families or relatives. Senator Keller, the committee chair, calls the hearing to order. "Today we begin our investigation into what may be the most disturbing case of illegal human experimentation in American history. Project Tolerance, authorized under the guise of national security research, systematically poisoned 50 children from infancy, resulting in 17 deaths and lifelong health consequences for the survivors." I spot my parents in the back row, looking thin and pale in their prison jumpsuits, flanked by federal marshals. Our eyes meet briefly before I look away. I still don't know how to feel about them. The prosecutors say they'll likely receive reduced sentences for their cooperation, but part of me wonders if they deserve any leniency at all. When it's my turn to speak, my prepared statement feels inadequate. How do you compress 16 years of systematic poisoning into 5 minutes of testimony? My name is Julian Walsh. I'm 16 years old, and until 3 months ago, I consumed 2 tablespoons of vodka and apple juice twice daily, every day of my life that I can remember. My voice shakes slightly as I continue. I was known as clinical trial participant 347 inches, the Project Tolerance study. I never consented to this. I couldn't. I was just a baby when they started. The room falls silent as I describe the quarterly visits to the medical building downtown with its bleach-smelling chairs, the liver damage that started appearing in my medical records by age 12, the moment I discovered the truth. Dr. Mercer told me directly that 16 children had died, and another was critical because of this experiment. He showed no remorse. He called them unfortunate but not unexpected casualties. These were children with names, with families, with futures that were stolen from them. Senator Keller leans forward. "And what would you like to see happen now, Julian?" I take a deep breath. I want justice for the children who died. I want continued medical care for those of us who survived, and I want to make sure nothing like this ever happens again, no matter what government agency approves it or what national security justification they claim. The questioning lasts for hours. They want details about the dosing schedule, the physical effects, the psychological impact of learning the truth. By the time it's over, I'm exhausted, but there's a strange sense of relief too. For the first time, I've told my story on my terms, not as data in someone's research. 5 years pass quickly when you're rebuilding your life from scratch. I'm 21 now, a junior at Georgetown studying bioethics and public policy. My liver has mostly recovered, though I'll need regular monitoring for the rest of my life. The specialized treatment protocol developed for us survivors has become a model for treating other forms of chemical dependency in children. Dr. Mercer and 12 other researchers were convicted of multiple counts of involuntary manslaughter, child endangerment, and violating medical ethics laws. They're serving lengthy prison sentences. 3 Defense Department officials who authorized the funding were also convicted, though they received lighter sentences in exchange for testimony. My parents served 3 years each. The court recognized they were manipulated by the researchers and cooperated fully with the prosecution. They live in Oregon now. We exchange occasional emails, but I haven't seen them in person since the trial. Some wounds take longer to heal than others. Today I'm standing in front of a converted brownstone in Alexandria, Virginia, watching as workers install the sign, Project Sunlight Foundation, supporting survivors of non-consensual human experimentation. Eliza stands beside me, smiling. After her whistleblowing helped expose Project Tolerance, she dedicated herself to advocacy work. Now she's the foundation's research director. "Ready for this?" she asks. I nod, adjusting my tie nervously. Inside, the other survivors are gathering for our first official meeting. We've been planning this foundation for 2 years, securing funding from the settlement money we all received from the government. Mia is there fully recovered now at 17, preparing for college next year. 7-year-old participant 112 is now 12-year-old Tyler, who still struggles with developmental delays but loves playing basketball. 19-year-old participant 89 is now 24-year-old Aiden, who just finished medical school and plans to specialize in addiction medicine. We all carry our scars, visible and invisible. Some still need medication to manage the long-term effects of 16 years of alcohol exposure. Others battle anxiety, PTSD, trust issues. But we formed a community that understands each other in ways no one else can. "Welcome, everyone," I say as the meeting begins. 5 years ago, ago, we were just numbers in an experiment. Today, we're launching a foundation that will support other survivors like us and work to ensure no child ever experiences what we went through. As I look around the room at these faces, once just clinical trial participants, now friends and fellow advocates, I feel something I never expected to find after everything we endured. Hope. We were poisoned from infancy, treated as test subjects instead of children, and 17 of us didn't survive. But those of us who did are reclaiming our stories, our bodies, our futures. Project Tolerance tried to reduce us to data points. Project Sunlight will ensure the world remembers we were always people, deserving of dignity, protection, and justice. And that might be the most powerful testimony of all.